Say hi, Tonto. Alright, guys, I thought it was about time I did a little bit of a vlog update on what is kind of going on with the garden and moving. So, we haven't moved, obviously. As you've seen from my videos, I'm still in my same suburban location with my suburban garden, and I'm planning for spring and summer. I have my tomato starts, my pepper starts going. I don't have as many, I don't think, for my personal use as I have in the years past. Because every weekend for the last 3+ months, we have been out looking at houses. We are looking, we have not found anything. There are so many issues. I could find an issue probably with it pretty much any place we go look at. But they're significant enough that I don't want to live there. Like, this is a permanent, I think, what should be a permanent future decision that I don't want to have to compromise on at all. Tonto decided to take a nap. But for me, it takes me a month. It takes me 2 months to pick out a vacuum cleaner. So to make this huge decision on where we're going to live, probably for the rest of our lives until we're gone, or if we have to go to a nursing home or go live with our kids or something like that, this is our permanent, possibly, location. And I need to make the best decision I can. For those of you guys who love house hunting, let's go have a look at some of the houses I've actually taken pictures of over the last few months, and I'll kind of narrate some of the issues I'm seeing with houses here that are fitting our criteria. I really thought this house was going to be the one, guys. It was on 3 acres, just under, long driveway, what I always dreamed of having, gravel road with trees on both sides. And then we keep going and keep going. It was a shared driveway with this house right here coming up. And I was like, well, that's okay, I guess. And then we get closer and closer, and we see so many vehicles and RVs and buses and cars everywhere. And the property line is so close to the house. There it is right there on the right. And they had so many large structures built right next to the fence that I could see those structures from the dining room window. It felt very invasive. Like, out that window right there, I could see their house, I could see the structures, I could see all the vehicles that I already knew in my soul this was not going to be the house. It was pretty, it was cute, it had a lot of great features, brand new construction. We've lived in an old house twice since we've been married, and this last house, let's just say I inherited a lot of problems with our current house. One thing I noticed from the listing photos that I thought might be an issue, and I was confirmed, a one tiny door garage. Because most of the property was in the front of the house, there was little space on the side of the house, and the backyard was practically non-existent. My backyard now, I think, was bigger. There could not be that double garage door in the back of the garage, so they put it here on the side, which it was a deal breaker. Another house that I thought, this is it. I love the way it looked on the online photos. It was like a modern farmhouse. I thought I was going to love it. It was a treacherous drive there. I didn't want us all driving on those roads all the time. That was my first questionable thing. The price was also way more than we really can afford, but we have gotten to the point of feeling desperate because I need to get my grandmother moved here. We really need the space. Another new construction, gorgeous. It was gorgeous. It had limited family space though. One dining space, one living room space. Kitchen was beautiful, almost too beautiful really for me. But the major problem with this house, and I didn't know it until we were there, you saw that flash of the picture of the backyard, teeny tiny backyard. I'm like, why? I asked the agent, why is the backyard not bigger? This is an 8-acre property. She's like, oh, well, they just didn't want to fool with cutting back all those trees. Well, no, that's not why. Because 8 acres, but 6.5 to 7 acres of the property, guess what? It's an official swamp. A swamp. We would have literally been buying swampland, even though this house could have potentially worked. And look, I love those tubs. I always wanted one of those tubs. I wanted a soaker tub. That was on my possible dream list. But I'm not going to give up on land to have a tub or, you know, a brand new house that looks pretty nice. All right, this next house, older house, 20, 30 years old, in a neighborhood with a low restrictive HOA. Neighbors on both sides did have 1 acre property, and it did have a nice big backyard. And I do like circle driveways. But as soon as I walked in the house, see, I have a sensitive nose, and there's one smell I'm very, very sensitive to, and it is mildew and musty smells. And our house has it too because we live in a very damp area. This house also is in a very damp area, and I couldn't get over that smell. I'm like, I'm not going to move somewhere where I know there's water issues, there's mildew possibly, possible mold issues at some point. It was a pretty house. It had a great floor plan. It could have worked for our family, including my grandma. Um, but I could see potential problems either had happened or would happen again or down the road. So for that price, I just can't do it. I can't invest and move our whole family into somewhere I know there's going to be issues. I do like the lofts though. I really like lofts. And they utilized this window space to put a little office, which I thought was a great idea. So definitely there had been some water damage. Definitely they're near swampy. There's a lot of swampland around here, guys. There's a lot of wet soil and soil that has issue with drainage. So you have to be careful when you're looking at any house, even in a neighborhood like this. And then we got this new construction, also in a neighborhood with possibly a somewhat lenient HOA. Major problem though. In some of the pictures, you'll notice this raised up hump hill in the backyard. That is the septic system. It's a raised septic system, which I've never had to deal with before, but I can see there being potential problems. This was a smaller size home that could work, but it would be very, very tight. You can see that septic right there. Where would I put the garden? It looks bigger in real life. This picture makes it look so tiny, but it's not. It was huge, huge. You got to be careful where you place a garden with your lateral fields and your drainage and your septic. So that is something. Plus, we would have had to modify that shower bathtub combo downstairs for my grandma. So this was a no-go. And you can't tell from the pictures either, but this new construction had so many defects. Even my daughter, who's not like into house hunting, noticed. So this was a no-go. Then we went and looked at this newer-ish neighborhood that's being developed off of an older neighborhood that was building like 6 or 7 new construction homes, no HOA, 1 acre lots each. But the neighborhood that connected it, a big time sex offender lived right on that street. Like he had 6, 7, 8 counts of rape. Like I'm really into looking into things like that. And even though since we've moved to where we live now, we now have about 4 sex offenders in our large neighborhood. There were none when I moved here. I did do my research. Since I know that information, I feel like I just can't move there. More recently, we went to look at an agent-owned, I think it was a remodel. They had an awesome studio apartment above the garage, which could have worked for my second son, and that would have been so ideal for him until he's ready to be on his own independently. And I would definitely would have been charging him a hefty rent price because it had a view of the backyard. It was nice. The house that the rest of us would have been living in, including my grandma, older. They had rehabbed it. I'm not sure how long they had lived there, but it still had a smell. And I kept saying, do y'all smell cat urine? And it also had, defects here and here and there, cracks in the ceiling, this and that. The kitchen was cute. I didn't like the window above the sink because I like to look out while I'm doing dishes, but I love these big windows that were in most of the house. I absolutely adored those. Pantry was a little small. The space for the fridge was very narrow. Would have to have a real small fridge. But the floor plan, once you get past this little living area section, it had dining room, it had a living room. That was it. The only 2 family gathering spaces in the kitchen. The bedrooms were like looped around each other, like almost like you could walk through all the bedrooms to get to the other bedrooms. So that could have been awkward. I did love this windowed in space. It was so nice and toasty that day. Perfect for my plants. That would have been awesome. But it didn't have a vibe of being our home. And I don't need a bar area. That was in the one living room space. They did a great job, except for, there are probably some structural issues with the cracking in the walls and ceiling. It was, no, not for that price. They were asking way too much. And, it's 30-year-old home or so. It was on 8 to 10 acres, but only a small portion in the backyard was cleared. We would have to clear a bunch of trees. And this looks beautiful, this picture of the master, right? But if you look up at the ceiling, and I took a picture, you probably won't be able to tell though. There was some cracking and holes around that fixture. And then we went to look at this house. It'd been on the market on and off for a good while. And actually, we were going to go look at it in December, and then they took it off the market and then just put it back on recently. We never even got out of the car because, well, one, it's right next to a really busy road and a large creek on the right. It is 8 acres, but all of it is like this. Big pine trees, leaves everywhere, poor soil, swampiness. There's puddles everywhere. There was like little ditches, and then you've got that creek over there. It looked like it would be extremely difficult to garden here. I can tell the lady who lived here did garden a lot because I saw so many pots everywhere. There was daffodils coming up everywhere. She did have a greenhouse in bad repair, but I did not see anywhere but the small little area where she gardened. And maybe that was the only area to garden on the whole place. But we didn't want to take a chance on any soil issues, water flooding issues. It would have been a huge project to take on to fix someone else's meanderings over the decades. And you can tell they did love this property, but it was just too much. We didn't even want to go inside after seeing the land. And that was a shame. They have since, oh, the neighbor's really close too. They have since reduced the price, and they did finally get an offer. So yeah, we could have made some of those houses work. Would it be ideal? No. Should we spend that much money for something we have to compromise on? No. But I am getting desperate because a few weeks ago I had a phone call with my grandma, my mama, who's been on the channel before. She's not doing well. She hasn't been doing well. And she's at the point the doctor said she needs to live with someone or go to assisted living or a nursing home. And we don't want that for her. So we're going to have her move here to Virginia. That is a long move, very long distant move for her at 88 to move from Kentucky to Virginia. She has probably 6 to 8 specialty doctors. I'm going to have to find her new doctors here. We had to sell her house. I mean, there's so many things that are going to happen over the next many, many months, in addition to relocating ourselves because we need extra space. We need a downstairs bedroom, private space for her. We may get desperate enough to the point my grandma has to move in, and we just put her in a space that is, we call it the computer room. It's like a formal living room. We'll just take everything out and make that her room. But it's not ideal for long term, but we could do that short term. So there's so many movable things happening, transitioning, and having to happen quickly, but it can't happen quickly because a lot of these things take time. I mean, she's lived there her entire life. She's lived in that house for the last 50 years. It's just going to be a lot. I need to make a list. If you've been through this, if you've moved an elderly relative, parent, grandparent, multiple states over to your home, give me some advice. Like, what do I need to do? I really probably do need to make a list. Whew. Once I get to talking about it, it is a lot. And I think having a list instead of mentally would be better. But with all that said, I am transitioning my plants to be more movable. So I'm going to do a video coming up on container gardening and container plants that I want to take with me. I'm thinking about no annuals in containers this year, only perennials that I want to keep and take with me. So yeah, I got a lot, got a lot to do, but I'm glad you were here, and hope you enjoyed looking at some houses. I've been watching House Hunters for probably 30 plus years, maybe longer. And I love that show. So for me, every weekend, it's like House Hunters. I've been having a lot of fun with that. But it is getting frustrating as well. All right, guys, talk to you soon. Bye.